Hello everybody, today we're going to be talking about the largest airdrop in history, Pulse Chain. How does it work? Who is Richard Heart? What problems does Ethereum have that Pulse Chain solves? How can you get involved? Find out today on Blockchain Trends. So if you haven't heard of Pulse Chain before, it's going to be a fork of Ethereum, conceptualized and founded by Richard Heart. You might have seen him with his bonnet on, you might have seen him flaunting the world's largest diamond, and all of his Louis Vuitton bags. He has a large presence on his Twitter. He always boasts that he called the top on Bitcoin, and now he's going out and starting his own blockchain after he released his arguably successful token, Hex. He aims to have 4 times faster block times than Ethereum with Pulse Chain. So essentially you're getting 4 times faster speed than Ethereum. Then he's incorporating these deflationary tokenomics. So he's burning 25% of each transaction, making Pulse Chain deflationary. So then Richard Heart invented something called a sacrifice. Now it's not a pre-sale, it's not a private sale, but it's a donation to a cause. And the cause for this sacrifice was to prove how strong you believe that blockchains are speech, and that speech is a protected human right. Now with this sacrifice, they had a whole sliding scale with the whole point system. Basically, the earlier you sacrificed, the more points you got, and each point may or may not be worth a token value. But there's absolutely no expectations for the sacrifice whatsoever. You were just guaranteed points that are worth a $0 value, right? So the earlier you sacrifice, the more hypothetical points you get. The later you sacrificed, the less hypothetical points you got. So with this huge sacrifice, they raised over $500 million. 27 million of that sacrifice was donated to Sens.org because they had the option of donating to Sens.org, like 25% of your sacrifice and the rest to the point system. And it really just shows the faith of the Hex community to partake in this new way of raising funds with Richard Heart. But you're probably thinking, why would all of these people donate to a millionaire to help develop his ecosystem when he's fully capable of doing it himself? For the promise of points. As always, there's a method to Richard Heart's madness. So I think you've heard by now that the SEC has been cracking down on cryptocurrencies, claiming that they are securities. The biggest lawsuit so far is with Ripple. The SEC claims that XRP is a security and subject to all US tax laws and scrutiny. To be considered a security in the United States, you have to pass what's called the Howey test. One of those requirements is an expectation of profit. So when you sacrifice, as I stated earlier, it's a donation of funds. So there's no expectation of profit because the coin is supposed to launch at a $0 value. So that means the points that sacrifices are promised also have a $0 value. In a way, Richard Heart has protected all sacrificees and himself from these predatory tax laws that would ultimately hurt the company. In a way, it's kind of genius the way he set up the sacrifice and was able to word his way around the US tax laws. And all of the Pulse Chain projects are doing the same thing to protect themselves and their sacrificees. Some of the goals of Pulse Chain are to increase Ethereum's value by offloading users to the Pulse Chain, thus reducing the load on Ethereum's network. So Pulse Chain isn't looking to replace Ethereum indefinitely. That would be impossible. I mean, look at all of this adoption, all of these institutional investors, and hello, ETH whales from 2017, they're all over the place. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to offload Ethereum's network by enticing these Ethereum users to come to the chain that's faster, cheaper, and deflationary. And did I also mention that Pulse Chain is delegated proof of stake, so it's also environmentally friendly as well. So if you haven't been paying attention to the rest of the video, Now we're going to cover how is Pulse Chain providing you the world's largest airdrop. The answer, it's surprisingly simple. All you have to do is sit and wait for Pulse Chain launch, and you get your airdrop. Now here's the catch. You have to be holding at least ERC20 assets, right? It can't be BNB, it can't be Polkadot or any other blockchain. It has to be ERC20 assets. Now, they're going to take a snapshot of the entire Ethereum network and everybody's wallets and all of the ERC20 assets, so that's smart contracts and NFTs, Ethereum, stablecoins, etc. And they're going to take all of that and they're going to reflect it onto the Pulse Chain. So you don't have to sign up on Richard Heart's website, you don't have to join their Telegram, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is sit and wait for Pulse Chain's launch, and you will get free money on the Pulse Chain. That's it. So essentially, all of your Ethereum assets are double. Usually, new blockchains launch empty, meaning they don't have any assets on them and they have to start completely from scratch. Now, Pulse Chain, since they're providing the largest airdrop in history, they're launching full, which means all of these Ethereum users can then go ahead and go to the Pulse Chain and give it a try. See how fast it is. Check out the community. Realize how much cheaper it really is. So if you think about it that way, it's really genius how he set up this airdrop to onboard as many Ethereum users as possible to bolster the Pulse Chain. The Pulse Chain is going to be interoperable with Ethereum at launch, meaning you can use the Pulse Chain bridge to bridge over all of your ERC20 assets, as well as, of course, your Ethereum, your stablecoins, your smart contracts, and your NFTs. Now, the important part about this bridge is the launch day of Pulse Chain. It's unlikely that Pulse Chain is going to be on a centralized exchange at launch. So you're going to want to go ahead and bridge over all of your Ethereum assets, stablecoins, or whatever assets that you want to liquidate for Pulse Chain to this bridge, because it's the only way you're going to be able to buy Pulse Chain through their only decentralized exchange, which is PulseX. So this is very vital information for launch day. So why is Pulse Chain needed in the first place? Why do we need an Ethereum fork when we already have Ethereum? Well, Ethereum has quite a few problems. Now, back when it was launched in 2015, 5 years after Bitcoin, it was very revolutionary technology. I mean, it was the first one to do NFTs, smart contracts, and use dApps, and allowed developers to use a new suite of developer tools. So it caused an explosion of new blockchain projects. So it was very innovative at the time. But as Ethereum aged, it didn't go so well. The first problem with Ethereum being that it's a proof of work blockchain. So proof of work blockchains require lots and lots of electricity. Why? Because they use GPUs and ASIC miners. Now, these huge devices are stored in huge warehouses now because the hash rate difficulty has risen so high because of the network demand. And at the time when they were creating these assets, they had no idea that this level of adoption would make the hash rates so high and cost the environment so much. So now we have all of these warehouses of GPUs and ASIC miners that are exacerbating the environmental problems. The second problem with Ethereum is simply the transaction speed. There are just a series of new competitors like Binance Smart Chain, Cardano, and Polkadot that are proof of stake that offer up to 300 transactions per second. With Ethereum sitting at a measly 15, the problem with transaction speed is scalability. Now, as the Ethereum mainnet gets more saturated with new users, it slows down the network, not only creating higher gas fees, but increasing transaction times along with it. So the more Ethereum gets adopted, the longer the transactions times get, as the network gets more saturated. This leads to the third biggest problem with Ethereum: high gas fees. So gas fees you can think of as a network fee for sending a transaction, executing a smart contract call, or minting an NFT, or simply sending Ethereum. As the price of Ethereum continues to increase, the price of Gwei also increases. But that's not the main cause of high gas fees. As the network gets more saturated, the higher the gas fees go, because it requires more hash rate to power Ethereum. The average Ethereum gas price is $46. I mean, that's almost a half a tank for me to fill up gas for my car. That's just a ridiculous expense just to send an Ethereum to another user. That's crazy expensive. Of course, that's the average. I mean, they can get as low as $20, but they could be as high as thousands of dollars. You know, if there's an NFT collection being minted, like a very large one, it could cost up to $500. I mean, imagine if there was a couple NFT collections being minted. It could be thousands of dollars. And that's a problem because now all of a sudden you have a gap in your mainnet because some people decided to mint NFT collections, and now the users have to suffer by paying, $500 or $1,000 gas fee. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So Pulse Chain provides the solution to all of these three problems. First, it's proof of stake, so you don't have to worry about the environmental costs because it's validators validating the transactions rather than these energy intensive GPU or ASIC miners. And also, it's just faster and more scalable, so that means your gas fees are dirt cheap and you can onboard more users to the chain because it's not using proof of work as its protocol. Now, Pulse Chain isn't designed to replace Ethereum, but it's definitely a great alternative to Ethereum for people who want an Ethereum-like experience that solves all or most of its major problems. So it can really onboard all these users if Pulse Chain does deliver on all of its goals that they say they are going to do. So if you want to try out Pulse Chain today, you can actually go to the pulsechain.com website and try out their testnet. And all you got to do is connect your MetaMask, import the network, and start getting Pulse Chain from the faucet. And you can try, the PulseX swap. You can try, staking and all that fun stuff, sending transactions back and forth, etc. So you're probably thinking, great, when does Pulse Chain launch? Well, we don't really know yet. Richard Heart continues to state estimates to the community on his Twitter or in his videos, but they all don't end up coming to fruition. But that doesn't stop Richard Heart from continuing to make up these dates and pushing it out to community, causing them to go insane. So my theory on the Pulse Chain launch is that Richard Heart is waiting for the bottom of the market. This does one of two things. It will achieve the most positive market impact at the bottom of the bear market, because as we all know, Bitcoin and Ethereum have dominance over the rest of the market, whether it be by 40% or 30% at the time. They still have an impact. And if they're going down while Richard Heart's trying to launch Pulse Chain, then that just hurts the layer 1 solution altogether. Now, if you wait to the bottom of the market, then this dominance factor has no control over Pulse Chain because it's already hit its all-time lows. All it has to go is up. So therefore, its dominance will have a positive impact on Pulse Chain rather than negative. 2, it shakes out all of the people in crypto who are very impatient, or they're just not bullish on the fundamentals, or they're just not 100% sold on the concept of cryptocurrency. This will allow all of the Hexicans, or Richard Heart loyalists, and crypto enthusiasts to get in on the bottom. So this will help to leverage out the dumps, and these people are more likely to DCA and hold over time because they see Pulse Chain as a valuable asset. Though, my theory is just that, a theory. It may just be delayed due to newfound problems in development or in the network that's continuing to cause a delay. So what's the best way to get Pulse Chain now that the sacrifice is over? Well, though you can't directly sacrifice for Pulse Chain anymore, what you can do is invest in different Pulse Chain projects. Now, there's a lot of different Pulse Chain projects launching near the launch date of Pulse Chain. It could be like 10 to 20 days after Pulse Chain launches. Now, some of these projects include Power City, PL Speak, the Pulse Abides token, and many others. You can find them all over the Pulse Chain community. Now, the key here is their liquidities will be in Pulse Chain. So, when Pulse Chain launches and their token launches, you get the benefit of having the Pulse Chain go up in value, as well as the asset go up in value. Now, you can choose to liquidate your assets after launch, but if you do choose to hold on to them, the value of the asset could go up along with the liquidity in Pulse Chain also going up, so you get double the benefit. So why not just hold these assets and get double the benefit rather than just liquidating on launch? But it is simply the best way to get Pulse Chain right now while we're waiting for the Pulse Chain launch. What are my thoughts on Pulse Chain and how can you get involved in their community? I think Pulse Chain is a great addition to cryptocurrency. Now, I do think it has a lot of contenders to compete with. I mean, you have BNB, you have Cardano, you have now Cronos, you have Solana, Polkadot, Matic, AVAX. So you have a lot of competitors to compete with that Ethereum users can already go ahead and use their chains. Now, what I do think is bullish is Richard Heart's idea of airdropping everybody free tokens. That's just a no-brainer for people to then go and try out Pulse Chain and see how they like it. I think that's awesome. But we have yet to see if Richard Heart has delivered on any of the goals or promises that I stated above. That's all the information that I've gathered from his Telegram, website, other videos, and listening to Richard Heart for hours on end. So we have yet to see if they're going to deliver on any of the things that they said they were going to do, and how long is Pulse Chain going to last, and what kinds of decisions is Richard Heart going to make. So it's hard to tell what the performance of Pulse Chain is going to be. Now, I think Pulse Chain is going to be a great addition to your crypto portfolio because of the way that Richard Heart thinks of the crypto market and how long he's been in the crypto market. So I think he's very strategic in the way that he implements certain things and certain marketing, and of course when he's going to launch the Pulse Chain. So I have all the faith in the world for Pulse Chain, and I think it would be a mistake not to add this layer 1 to your portfolio. To get involved in Pulse Chain, I'd recommend joining their Telegram and following Richard's socials and checking out their website, pulsechain.com. All links for Pulse Chain are going to be listed down below. And thanks for watching. See you next time on Blockchain Trends.